Hello and welcome back to Game My Movie Recap channel. Today, we're going to tell you the storyline of an action and martial arts movie called Tripe Threat from the year 2019. Telling us the story of a trained mercenary team joins forces with a group of skilled fighters to stop a powerful criminal syndicate, unleashing a high-octane and martial arts-packed battle for survival, honor, and the protection of innocent lives. So, without waiting any longer, let's dive into the video. But before we start, please support our channel by subscribing and click the bell icon for future notifications. Now, let's start. The beginning of the movie shows a woman named Tien who is currently visiting a city named Mahajaya. For your information, the city of Mahajaya is purely fictional, created specifically for this film. Back to Tien, it turns out she is the daughter of a Chinese conglomerate, and now she intends to donate all her wealth to eradicate criminals in Mahajaya. Shortly after, the news on TV broadcasts Tien's kindness as she plans to donate all her wealth to help combat crime in the city. The scene shifts to a remote village in the dense forests of Mahajaya, where we are introduced to two mercenaries named Paiu and Fei. Currently, they are hired to guide a U.S. special team to reach this secluded village. The team is led by a soldier named Michael, and their mission is to free all hostages being held by the MI6 team in the remote village. Upon arrival, Michael and his team launch an assault on the MI6 operatives, initiating a fierce battle. In the midst of the chaos, a stray bullet from Michael's team hits the house of one of the villagers, resulting in the death of a woman. This tragedy infuriates the woman's husband, Jaa, who eventually decided to enter the fight seeking revenge for his wife's death. On one occasion, Jaa finds himself facing Paiu, and a fierce battle ensues between them. However, in the midst of the duel, an unexpected explosion occurs, causing Jaa to lose consciousness, while Paiu quickly returns to Michael's team. Eventually, Michael's team successfully eliminates the entire MI6 team, leaving only their leader. They take the MI6 boss into captivity, but surprisingly, Michael decides not to release all the hostages. Instead, he only sets free his leader, Collins. Fueled by his deep-seated grudge against MI6 for capturing him, Collins ruthlessly kills the MI6 boss. It is revealed that Collins, Michael, and their team have now become mercenaries, having defected from the military. Afterward, they leave the village, ensuring there are no traces left behind, by destroying it entirely. Shortly after the fire subsides, Jaa regains consciousness from his unconscious state. He becomes furious when he sees his village in ruins. Jaa decides to bury all the bodies, including that of his deceased wife. Vowing to avenge the attack by the special forces, he promises to take action against them. A few days later, Jaa is seen at an underground fighting arena, watching the matches there. He goes to this place with the intention of clearing his mind. To his surprise, Jaa discovers that one of the fighters competing tonight is Paiu, the mercenary from Collins and Michael's group. After Paiu defeated his opponent, Jaa immediately approached the guard and gave him some money. It turned out that Jaa was asking the guard to arrange him a fight with Paiu in the middle of the arena. However, the guard couldn't fulfill the request as it was now Fei's turn to duel. If Jaa agreed, he would have to fight against Fei, Paiu's comrade. Realizing that Fei was also part of Collins and Michael's group, Jaa agreed and entered the arena to face Fei. During the fight, Jaa revealed that it was Fei and his group who had killed his wife. In that instant, Fei recognized Jaa as the survivor from the remote village. Immediately, Fei unleashed all of his abilities to defeat Jaa. Ultimately, Fei managed to overcome Jaa, and then Fei and Paiu took Jaa to their home. When Jaa regained consciousness, Paiu immediately gave him food and explained that Jaa had misunderstood the situation. Paiu clarified that he and Fei were paid only to be guides for Michael. Initially, Michael claimed that the mission was to free all the hostages from the hands of the MI6. However, Pio and Faye were deceived because the real mission was to free Collins, their leader. Even before the village was destroyed, Pio and Faye were beaten and thrown out along with the other hostages. Fortunately, Pio and Faye managed to escape and rescued all the hostages just before the village was destroyed. Now, Pio and Faye are also searching for Collins and Michael to seek revenge. In the end, Jeeja believed their story, and they decided to join forces since their enemies were the same, Collins and Michael. The next day, when Pio and Faye woke up, they were startled by the arrival of the police, who immediately arrested them both. It turned out that this was all part of Jeeja's plan to lure out Collins, Michael, and their team. The scene shifts to Tien, the daughter of the Chinese conglomerate. She has just attended an interview about her intention to donate all her wealth to eradicate the criminals in Mahajaya. However, when she is about to leave for the airport, she is suddenly attacked by Collins and his team. Collins intends to eliminate Tien as he sees her as a threat due to her plan to donate her wealth to combat crime.
Now, Steiner, you're with me now.
Luckily, Tien manages to escape and heads to the nearest police station to seek help. Collins and his team pursue Tien to the police station. Upon arriving there, Tien tries to explain what is happening to the police, but unfortunately, none of the officers understand as Tien speaks Mandarin. Then, one of the police officers calls Faye, who happens to be detained there. The officer asks Faye to act as an interpreter since he is Chinese. Meanwhile, outside the police station, Collins and his team have already arrived and begin to wreak havoc on the building. Meanwhile, Pio, who had been detained, managed to free himself from the handcuffs and approached Faye, who was with Tien. Shortly after, one of Collins' henchmen arrived, and Pio immediately confronted him. Faye, on the other hand, swiftly took Tien away from the scene. As Pio started to struggle in the fight, fortunately, Jeeja arrived just in time and eliminated Collins' henchmen. Jeeja explained that he intentionally reported Pio and Faye to the police as bait to lure Collins and his team. He asked Pio to go after Faye, as he had another plan to take down Collins and the others. Afterward, Jeeja found himself engaged in a fight with one of Collins' female henchmen and had to defend himself. Meanwhile, Faye and Tien were being attacked by another one of Collins' henchmen named Joey. Fortunately, Pio arrived just in time and swiftly took Tien away from the danger, while Faye faced Joey in a fierce battle. Eventually, Faye decided to retreat and join Pio and Tien to make their escape. Outside, Collins and Michael just discovered that Pio and Faye, the mercenaries they once hired as guides, were the ones protecting Tien. However, they lost track of their whereabouts as Pio, Faye, and Tien managed to escape. Collins and Michael realized that their targets were not only Tien but also Pio and Faye. While Collins was searching in a shop, he was suddenly confronted by a police officer pointing a gun at him. At the same time, Jeeja arrived and saved Collins. Unbeknownst to Collins, Jeeja sought to gain his attention to join their ranks and plot against them from within. Despite Collins' initial reluctance and threats, Jeeja managed to persuade him, and Collins recruited Jeeja to be part of his team. Shortly after, Collins and his remaining troops were seen regrouping at a local shop. Only Michael, Joey, and the newly recruited Jeeja remained by Collins' side. Jeeja suggested that if they wanted to capture Pio, Faye, and Tien, they should go to the Chinese embassy as he believed that's where they were headed. Following Jeeja's advice, Collins and his team set off to the Chinese embassy. However, they got stuck in a traffic jam along the way, and Joey decided to get out of the car. During his short walk, Joey accidentally spotted Pio, Faye, and Tien also caught in the same traffic jam. He quickly informed Collins of their location. Realizing they had been spotted, Tien, who was driving, stepped on the gas, initiating a high-speed chase. Collins and his team chased after Tien's car with all their might, and Collins even dared to jump onto the hood of their car. Fortunately, Pio and Faye managed to whisk Tien away, leaving Collins once again without a trace of them. While on the run, Pio crossed paths with Jeeja. Jaka advised him to keep running as he had his own plan to trap Collins and the others. Pio, Faye, and Tien sought refuge in a restaurant while Jaka informed Collins that he had lost track of them. Michael, however, grew suspicious of Jaka, suspecting him of being in league with Pio. But Jaka skillfully denied any knowledge of Pio and the others, successfully deflecting Michael's suspicions. The scene shifts to Pio, Faye, and Tien, who are now hiding in a closed restaurant. Faye suggests they rest here and continue their journey to the Chinese embassy tomorrow morning. Pio comes up with an idea to deceive Collins, pretending to agree to hand over Tien in exchange for him and Faye no longer being pursued. Pio contacts Collins through a video call and conveys the proposition. He asks to meet Collins at an old house the next morning to hand over Tien. Eventually, Collins agrees to Pio's offer, and after Tien is handed over, he promises not to chase Pio and Faye anymore. Unbeknownst to Pio, after the call ends, Collins instructs Michael and Joey to find as many snipers as possible. In reality, Collins plans to ambush Pio and Faye at their meeting the next day, as he refuses to let them go freely. The next day, Pio, Faye, and Tien visit Pio's old friend. Here, Pio requests weapons from his friend to attack Collins and his men at their meeting location. After receiving a sufficient number of weapons, Pio and the others head to the meeting spot. Meanwhile, at the meeting location, Collins, Michael, and Joey are already present. Jaka is also there to assist Collins, along with the newly recruited mercenaries. In short, Pio and the others arrive at the location. Pio sneaks in through the back while Faye brings Tien in through the front entrance. Collins arrives shortly after and demands that Faye hand over Tien as agreed. Pio starts taking down Collins' hired gunmen one by one from behind. Faye tries to stall for time while waiting for Pio's signal. Eventually, Pio arrives and a battle ensues. In the midst of the fight, Jaka challenges Michael to a duel and reveals that he is actually on Pio's side, leading to a hand-to-hand combat between Jaka and Michael. On the other side, Faye faces Joey, and fortunately, Faye manages to defeat him. Meanwhile, Jaka continues to battle Michael, but he finds himself cornered. Luckily, Faye comes to Jaka's aid, and now Michael has to face two opponents. After an intense fight, Jaka and Faye successfully take down Michael. Switching to Pio, he is now engaged in a gunfight with Collins. Eventually, Collins is left with only one bullet and decides to duel Pio barehanded. In the midst of the duel, Pio seems to struggle against Collins. However, Jaka comes to the rescue and joins forces with Pio against Collins. Collins, being exceptionally strong, manages to overpower Pio and Jaka. He then descends to finish off Tien using his last remaining bullet. But when Collins takes the shot, Faye swiftly intervenes and shields Tien, taking the bullet in his arm. Pio, now fully conscious, rushes to Collins and challenges him to another fight. This time, Pio appears to be dominating the battle, and eventually, he succeeds in defeating Collins with a powerful strike. After successfully eliminating Collins and his entire team, they finally feel a sense of relief. However, to their surprise, Joey is still alive and aims to shoot Tien. Fortunately, Tien, who has a weapon in her hand, shoots Joey first, putting an end to him. Several hours later, police officers and representatives from the Chinese embassy arrive to pick up Tien. Pio, Faye, and Jaka have finally managed to protect Tien and avenge themselves against Collins and his team. With a sense of fulfillment and restored justice, the movie finally comes to an end. What do you think of the movie? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit like and support the channel by subscribing and click the bell icon so that you won't miss our future recaps. And if you have any movies or series you want us to recap, please do tell us in the comments section as well. And that's about it. See you next time.